Hi, YouTube. How are you doing? I'm doing okay, not too bad. Um, I've been thinking quite a bit about, I'm going to talk about post traumatic growth versus PTSD, stress disorder. Um, yeah, there's a lot of people that have gone through an awful lot of traumatic things in their lives, and we know that there's people out there that aren't so well meaning that will use uh, traumatic mind control. Like watching the news will give you like trauma based mind control, is what it actually is. It's an actual tool developed with German scientists and the CIA. I do believe they started this like in the 30s and the 40s. They've been working together for a very long time globally to use certain aspects of a person and their trauma and how to control them with that type of thing. And what makes one person that goes through this very same thing as another grow through it and remain happy versus the people that play the victim for the rest of their existence and can't grow through that. If they truly were raised in chaos and had a happy personality that even the most chaotic situations couldn't extinguish, that's post traumatic growth. That's where you can actually be in a, it's like being like a ER nurse or a TMA or a MA on an ambulance or something. You can't have somebody that's going to totally fall apart under extreme circumstances where people have to keep a level head. So you have these different types of personalities that will use their pain. They say hurt people hurt people. Nah, nah, they don't. They're capable of it. In fact, the more you've been hurt, the more you know how to hurt other people, right? Yeah, we don't need a playbook for that. It's embedded in us, thanks to the people that turned us into those warriors. Cheers, everybody. Um, like, like if you have uh, if you go to counseling or therapy of some sort, and say this person who was counseling you had the victimhood mentality, and you come in there with your trauma, how in the world would somebody like that ever be able to pull you out of your bad situation if they don't have a level mind for themselves? Yeah. Because I know people that they're actually not happy. They pretend they are. They don't speak of humanity or love or anything. It's really all about money for a lot of people. I'm not going to name no heritages, except I will speak on the red people versus other people that didn't even have as many as the Native Americans die. The Americans, they're laughing all the time, laughing, dancing, singing, loving people. I mean, yeah, some of them are kind of bitter because they've been treated poorly because of their heritage. But you can take, say, 10 Native Americans and 10 people that wear tiny hats and play the victim card. I'm just saying it, really. And you will recognize who is down to earth and who actually cares versus those that don't, because they don't use the dark force. The red people do not use the dark force to invoke and hurt other people with. Like, I have a prescribed passport. I've been traumatized, so now, based on that amount of trauma that I say I had, I can treat you less than human because I went through far more than you did. Yeah, it gets sickening, people. It really does. People out there, um, you could have a world leader say that they love people, and they really might. Highly doubtable, but they might, you know. But it would be a rare thing for that to be an actuality. There's people out there that think that world leaders actually love them. That really gets me. It's like, are you serious? Do you really, really think that? You know? But yeah, how humiliating it would be to be an eternal victim for the rest of my existence. That I would feel victimized. Not that people haven't tried to make me an eternal victim, that I would cry about it every day. No, you taught me how to be the worst thing you'd ever come up across, ever, in your nightmares or for real. That's what happened to me. That's a warrior spirit versus a weakling, you know? Some of us weren't made for this boo-hoo shit out here. We take our pain and we're like, bring it on. You got some more? That's all you got? I'm serious. I had my cheekbone broke. Well, this one, one time, and I told this fucker, is that all you got? The look on his face was priceless, because then you really have to be afraid when you give somebody something of what they're going to do back to you. And yeah, I did. It took a while, but I did. Sometimes I bide my time and, yeah, I plot about things I'm going to do or say. You damn right I do. Put a lot of thought behind strategic moves, just like my enemies do. I'm ahead and I've already won, but so I can really pretty much say or do anything I want to do. So they think they can too. But it doesn't take any titles or crowns out here on this world to walk around with dignity. And there's something about being a truly honorable person versus somebody that's total scum and pretends they have honor. You know, I'm not good at pretending. I detest it. It's the same thing as lying. I can't do it. I have too much self-respect. You know, I joke a lot on Facebook, like I'll pass around funny memes or boohoo memes and sometimes some of them are for other people. Sometimes it's to see um, what people are going to say or do when I pass around something unexpected or whatever. I like it, especially if I know I have haters in the crowd. I'm going to put through things that will totally blow them away, you know. So, and I do that intentionally. you know, especially with the cupcakes. People that, not just the passive people, but the people that pretend that you have to be totally positive all the time to be a well balanced human being, you know? That's not my thing. Not at all. But I mean, it doesn't take, I can be angry and happy at the same time, you know? That's real, you know? But yeah. So boo-hoo, boo-hoo, open up the oven and shove me in, just like Hansel and Gretel, right? That's a grim tale, Grimm brothers. But yeah, Grimm brothers were librarians, so they had access to like ancient reading material and that type of thing. So, and then they started writing all these gruesome fairy tales, and yeah, it was the little children being shoved into the oven, not the people that said they were. It was a boy and a girl. Um, they know what they're talking about. Just like the male and female goodness of spirit that runs through us, not the combination. um, that the dark cabal doesn't want to come together so we can't correlate our energies against them. Well, they're way too late on that one, aren't they, my friends? Because the ones of you that we feel each other like that, we know what's going on. And they're afraid. And they should be because they're being eliminated. It's not people are like, I wouldn't want to love any God that's going to punish people. No, it's not a promise of punishment. You live in your own hell if you're a dishonest piece of crap. That's your hell right there. You're already in it. No, I'm talking elimination, ceasing to exist, being written out of the story. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about punishment, you know? What good is that? That's like a idle threat. It's like, if you do this, I'm going to spank you. And I'd be thinking, like, why don't you just poke me with something sharp then? I don't care. You know, if you want blood on your brand new carpet or whatever, if you see my point, you know. So I've just been really thinking about the difference between cultures, and it doesn't matter your skin color if you've got that brave heart, that true honorable, and you're carrying your respect and confront your trauma even with anger. Who gives a rip, right? That's real. If you can joke about it, you don't hear any rabbis making jokes about stuff, do you? You do natives, though. You'll hear some really odd things out of Native Americans that you wouldn't think that they would say because they're funny like that, you know, because they don't use their sorrows for an excuse to batter people and use them and um, play the sympathy card all over the world. People are really sick of it. There's cultures all over the world that are far worse off. Take Australia, for instance, what's happening still to those people, and not just the indigenous, you know? There's a lot of stuff going on in the world that people really don't think of on a daily basis. I mean, yeah, you're working hard and you're out there, you're doing, feeding your kids, shopping, taking them to doctors, doing what you gotta do. Um, gets to be hard sometimes to think about who's crying in another country or why they would be. I know it does, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, post-traumatic growth or post-traumatic stress, take your pick. I even knew nom vets that saw some horrific things. Some were like zombied out. They like left planet Earth, you know, and other ones just they go with the flow. It's like, or, not just nom, but I've known as Afghanistan and different Korean war vets, World War I and II vets, um, all of them. So you have these ones that actually will use their sorrows and ones that won't, is what I'm saying. So what makes one person feel so sorry for themselves that they have to carry their pain in their pocket like a book of matches or whatever, like a Bic lighter. Here's my pain, every day, you know? And another person, it doesn't even care if they have pockets, what makes one person, or like somebody that has absolutely nothing and is happy as a lark, where you have these other people that have everything they could possibly want and they're totally miserable, you know? People, yeah, they're different, but it's still a choice every single day, you know. But please don't get me wrong. I'm not one of these, and I detest these people who are like, "Oh, well, that's way too negative for me." Yeah, ew, too bad. I just went dark. So what? I don't play about that. It's not like, oh, well, you're being too negative, or everything's got to be positive, or I'm not a real human being, or I'm not a well balanced, emotionally stable human being. Really? Huh. That's not real. It's fake as shit, and I don't like it. That's why I wanted to speak on it. It's like, yeah, be happy. I mean, don't get me wrong, but not everything's got to be totally positive all the time. And even if, like, have you ever been like maybe broken bone or cut open or car accident or whatever and laughed at the same time? I'm not talking while it's happening, but laughed about it? All kinds of things. I've been through some strange things and still had laughter in my soul, you know? And they just can't take it out of me. I've been scared to death and had people like ferocious in front of me and just laughed. I can't help it. It's in me. I'm so rebellious like that. I don't like being afraid. If you put fear in me, it's going to anger me. And if you try and put fear in other people, it's really going to anger me. I was watching and I did share. I took it down. I shared Underground World News. And for the second time I was watching that, he started ragging on people, assuming people my age had something to do with, like, we could have stopped what was going on, even with the Vietnam War. Any people that could have stopped that are long gone. I was only 12. I mean, in 1969, I was born in 58 when the war started ending. I had no control. Oh, so this dude's on there, like Reagan on people my age, when it was our parents, their age, that could have done something about it. And they're either in their 90s or, well up there in their 80s. And it's so ridiculous. It's like, wow, if you really, really hate your mother that bad and she's my age or something. Well, anyway, I did share that and then I went and took it down. I sent it to Doug too, and he was listening to the same shit that I was with the fear porn and all the rest of it. I mean, like I've said before, it's nothing wrong with being aware of what's going on in the world, but the fear tactic bullshit just to make money off of people. And there were a couple untruths in there that I knew for a fact. But just the second time that I was hit with that in the ether directed at me, and I'm like, you know what, you little bitch, fuck you. So I took his shit down and I will not share it again. You don't insult me and get away with it. You can go to hell. Stay in your hell, you little bitch. Because when shit hits the fan, you're going to be suffering. You don't fuck with people and get away with it. Can think you do, but you don't. So, yeah, you'll get yours. Like I say, there's no way a 12-year-old, I was out there picketing, but I couldn't really go into the White House or even like I've contacted my state legislators before over certain issues, the governor, the senators, I'd talk to in Messenger privately and things like that. Actually, as an adult trying to get and writing letters to my state house, I mean, actually trying to get some different things changed in our world personally, one on one with these people. But a 12-year-old or 11-year-old couldn't really do much back then, you know? So when I heard that, and it was the second time I went in that chat, said hello, and then when this conversation came up, started ragging on me about it, it's like, okay. And I think he's a martial artist. I don't think he'd want to spar with me. He might think he will because he's a man and I'm an older woman, but no, not even close. You wouldn't open your big mouth around me in front of me. No fucking way. So I just wanted to talk about that too. If some of you watched that episode that I had shared with Underground World News, Dabo 777, whatever the fuck that means, because three sevens is not what he thinks anyway, evidently. He's not thinking too clearly, but whatever. So I just wanted to talk about that too, because I had shared that. And then after I did, and it was a live stream, I was sorry that I had. So, because he's just out to make money. He doesn't care who he offends along the way or how hard we've worked for other people. Out of the love of our hearts, not for money. So, yeah. So tell me what you think on people that you know that use their sorrows for an ongoing poor me card. The pity party. It's sickening. It's going on all over the world. It's not just one person. You get these miserable trolls that say stupid things and try and hurt other people, and that's all they got. That's the only power they have is their miserable existence. That's got to be sad. Just there, just that right alone, I like bugging them. Yeah, sometimes I do, but I'm getting better at walking away from the nonsense, instead of confronting it. Now I'm just like, okay, we'll wait. I got all the time in the world, and I know who writes the script. It isn't them. So I'll just buy my time. My eraser's really big. Their eraser didn't work. Probably was synthetic, you know. When I was a kid, we had these real rubber erasers. You could drop them. They might still have them. I had one that was made for one end was for ink and the other was for pencil. Or you could buy like the green or blue ones or the pink ones. My one for the both of them where the blue was for ink and the pink part was for pencil. But my point is, you could take them, or what I was going to tell you, you could drop them and they'd bounce. I don't know if you remember what super balls were. They're balls made out of pure rubber um, that like super bounce. I lost a few. I had some that were clear with sparklies, and I had one. My last couple I had, I think I sent them to grandkids, or yeah, I do believe I did, to North Dakota. Uh, they were sparkly and they lit up real cool balls anyway. Clear balls with sparkles that lit up when you'd bounce them. But anyway, yeah. So erasers. Theirs are synthetic and they don't work very well. In fact, it didn't work at all when they tried to erase me. My eraser's real, and I'm just biding my time to see who needs that um, elimination. It's not a matter of fighting with people or badgering them or trying to cause fear or anything like that. Just a minute. What's that? I used what I put out of my gas jug. Oh. I got about a quart left, so I didn't get stuck on the road. Want to say hi, YouTube? No, I don't. Well, I have to go get. I can't get the car out of the road. I got to take the car by the town and the axles out. Okay, drive safe. So anyway, like I say, I'm just biding my time. Depends on a person's integrity and what their intentions are out on this planet. And if they're out there hurting people mindlessly, or even moreover, enjoying that amount of power that they presume they have, that's where people like me come in. And it really isn't a joke, it's a very real thing. This army of misfits that really don't we don't bow. We don't bow to anybody or anything at any time. And we certainly don't have pity for ourselves, let alone anybody else. I'm not talking about lack of compassion. I'm talking about we don't let you have the poor me card. Nobody has it. That's what I'm talking about. So, well, I'm going to get this uploaded. I hope you enjoy your weekend ahead, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Oops. No, my mouse doesn't want to work.